I have heard you're clamoring for Alatreon. Alatreon? Is that how you pronounce that? I'm not entirely sure. I don't know anything about this monster. I don't know anything about Iceborne because I stopped playing Monster Hunter World after about 115 hours.
Is that it?
I beat Xeno'jiva. So let's listen to Alatreon from Monster Hunter World Iceborne. Isn't it interesting how classical music and like orchestration allows us to feel fear?
Yes.
I like that the opening few seconds of this really, it was kind of like we were like wandering around aimlessly, and then out of nowhere this thing pops out, and I am looking at a thumbnail here. You know, I really get the essence that this is like some sort of like jacked up velociraptor. And how do we hear that in classical music? Well, we hear that in the strings. We hear that in the creepy crawly pizzicato, the way that we use, this is like such a common trope in classical music in general. In standard society, when we listen to classical music, we hear long bowing, we hear yada, yada, yada. When we want to mess with people psychologically in classical music, what you're hearing in this track is exactly what happens. And it's all like, and it feels like skin crawling, right? It feels like bugs crawling up your skin. All your hair is standing up on end. And it's interesting because this is horror music. That's interesting too. There's something really interesting about this because I can't get a sense of the size of Alatreon from this music. Like on the one hand, you hear the drum boom, 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 and that would indicate to me that this is a large creature. But there's a viciousness in this music that I actually haven't heard from the other themes that have been on this channel. A sound quality of like intelligence, evil, treachery. So I'm really intrigued by this. There. Watch your back. I'm coming for you. There's like a psychology in this music that really indicates to me like, watch out, you are gonna get it. You know, this descent, it's a very menacing quality to that sound. See, this is an interesting juxtaposition because right before this, we had this very creepy music where it suddenly felt like Alatreon was finally taking flight and finally facing us head on, and this feeling of direct, like, forward propulsion into us. You felt that in the music, like this ramping up of like stomping the feet in the ground and then charging forward. But then we switch and we have this heroic which is like, all right, I'm taking a big swing of my axe. Come at me. Here we go. You know what I mean? Like there's almost like a confrontation where you stare each other in the eyes and it's and it charges forward, and then you're like, no. There's a juxtaposition between heroics and terror all at the same time. And there too you get some Majesty. That's the Majesty of Alatreon. Even though it's very clearly a terrifying creature, there is this majesty of sort of like, wow, as it slams its body down or digs its head into the ground or attacks you with sharp twisting, and you do get a sense there of some sort of size. Interesting with the forward propulsion there with the drums too. This it almost sounds industrial, which is kind of interesting to me. Like boom, bum, 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 and underneath that rhythmic pattern of the drums is keeping us sort of in this particular meter. And also I've been noticing that we've pivoted meter quite a bit. We're shifting from one end to the other. We're talking sharp pivots because this is a creature that like is going to always keep us on our toes, which I mean a lot of these monsters do, of course, but there's something about like shifting directions that's really coming across to me. We need to sort of always be paying attention to the fact that like, oh, we're here. Oh no, we're to the left. And musically, even though now we're having repeated thoughts and repeated patterns, each section is unique. And so there must be like, the music is influenced by the attack patterns chosen maybe. And so again, like when we're talking about the characterization here, there is a mysterious violence that's occurring in this music, which I find kind of interesting. The mystery of this much more apparent than in other themes, where I do feel like it's like, oh, what am I going to do? Am I going to go here? Am I going to go there? What am I? And us as hunters are like, oh my God, what is this thing? Like, oh my, what is this? You know? Yeah. See, that's what I mean. That's a sharp rhythm and meter change. That is violence. That is rage. That is charging forward. That is jumping up into the air and slamming down and spinning you around and grabbing you and throwing you in the air. And there's this like real dual sense here. And then now we're going to shift into this heroic part again. That to me is the desperation here. Also, this is the most legato section we have. Ya, da, 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 whatever the melody is. I have to defeat this thing, you know, like it's not panic. It's a real sense of drive, like I have to stand in the way of this thing that is here to maim and kill and be violent and no, like this stops with me, you know? And that's the tussle right there too. So this right here almost sounds like gnashing of teeth, right? This sounds like consumption. It sounds like feasting. It sounds like eating. It sounds like looking over and seeing a creature and running over and grabbing it and consuming it and then turning back to you, you know? There's a perverse majesty to Alatreon. I hear in this music, what is this thing? This is certainly unlike a lot of other themes that I've heard on this channel. There is a disturbing quality to it and a very, very fearful quality to it. Alatreon is a menace and violent and brutal and ruthless, and I can understand we could describe Fatalis that way, or, you know, Safajiva that way, or some of the others, but there is something scary about this that I think is displayed in the music. There's almost like this untamable quality to Alatreon that is borders on terrifying and very causing of great distress and great fear. And even though we are hunters and we will do what we have to do to slay this beast, there is actually almost like a trepidation that we feel. And in some ways this music is indicating that trepidation and that fear rather than, you know, describing Alatreon necessarily. So it's really cool. If you like this sort of stuff, you can check out the Safajiva video here. And as always, feel free to like, subscribe. There's links in the About section if you want to support the channel, and I'll talk to you later. See ya.